Man, it's been an interesting week. This whole GameStop thing has been really interesting. I hope you've been following it, at least for just the fun and enjoyment of watching what's going on. I want to talk real briefly about what I think is going to happen next, and I want to really tell you this, man. There's a lot of headlines saying investors are making money, but I want you to get this, and I want you to understand nothing else. This is the thing that you absolutely have to understand, that what is going on this week in GameStop, this has not been investing. This has been gambling. It has not been what investing really is. It has been what gambling is. People have taken very, very big risks that have paid off, and that's why it made the news. But this is not what a normal investor should be doing. And a normal investor should be thinking of long-term planning and long-term investing, of riding the ups and downs of the market for a long time. And when I talk about long-term, I'm not talking about like a couple weeks or even a couple months. I'm talking not even a couple years, but I'm talking like a couple decades at a time. Almost every client, in fact, every client I'm working with, we have a 30-year time horizon or longer, because even someone who's 65, they're going to live into their 90s. So I don't really look at anyone and say that you have a shorter time horizon than maybe 20 years. So for most people, what we're seeing going on in GameStop is kind of like fun, but you really got to be a little cautious and before you decided to get into something that's going crazy like this. So if you haven't followed, GameStop was about $5 per share the other day, and it's about $3.50 right now. It's $3.25 was what it closed at today, $325,000 from about $5. And if you go back a year ago, it was about $3. So it's really been a crazy ride over the last few days. What is amazing about this is kind of like how it's happened. Now, it's been through an internet forum. So people just got together and said, let's drive up the price of GameStop. And they did. Now, I think once we kind of work out what actually happened, I think it's going to be less that the internet forum people did it, and more the internet forum people created a buzz around the stock, and then after creating a buzz around the stock, they drove the price up a little bit. But then to get it to go that far, I think it had to have some institutional money being involved. So I think there had to be some mutual funds, some hedge funds, things along those lines that just got involved and helped push it further. But the real question is, what's going to happen next? Like they take the stock from about $5 up to about $3.25. It peaked up in the 400s. I believe it was like $4.80 yesterday, or the day before was its highest. Now, interesting thing is, like today, it moved a lot, but it's really hovering in that 300-ish range. So this seems to be kind of where the top of where most people are willing to spend their money. So this becomes really concerning to me, and I want to put this warning out there to you. I'm not giving advice. I'm just giving some information. You have to talk to someone who can know your situation before you can get advice. All right, there's that disclaimer I have to put out there. But I want to put this warning out to you, because what's going on is, as it hovers at this 300, maybe it goes higher, maybe it goes lower. It doesn't seem to have a lot of momentum pushing it forward right now. Again, we're talking really short term. This is just kind of like 1 or 2 days. So maybe that momentum is just taking a break because it's Friday. Maybe people are away from their computer. They're not trading as actively. The people who've been really pushing it, who knows? These aren't necessarily professional investors. So they have other lives going on. So I question where it goes from here. And I'm really worried that since the buzz on Tuesday night, I think it was the night that it kind of made the news, since the buzz on Tuesday night, and then Wednesday and Thursday, people watching it, and Friday, people watching, I'm really worried, especially if people come home during the weekend and watch the news, they're going to go in on Monday and say, well, I got to get into this GameStop. So here's what happened. Just to recap for you, some hedge funds had sold short GameStop stock, meaning they're saying they sold it when they did not own it. So they borrowed it from large brokerages. They said, we're going to borrow it from you, we're going to sell it, and then they're hoping the stock goes down, and then when the stock goes down, they'll buy it and give it back to the brokerages that they borrowed it from. Well, GameStop had so many people doing that short, so many outstanding stocks that were owned that had to be bought, that some investors looked into and said, hey, here's an opportunity to buy this, believing that when the short positions were covered, meaning the hedge funds went out and bought the stock to replace it, that would drive the price up. So I thought if we can get into it before that happens, it can go up, and then we can sell it and get out. What they did though is they got more aggressive and said, let's just run it all the way up. So they ran it up, and then it went from $5-ish to $300-ish. And now it leaves you in this real big predicament because you've made money. Right? And I've seen people on the post saying, hey, I went from $5,000 to $1 million. I don't think that was the exact numbers, but similar posts like that. So you've got these people who maybe they had $10,000 in their account, and now they're sitting on hundreds of thousands of dollars, and they don't know. They don't want to get out because they want to push it further. And if you read the forums like I've done, you actually see people are saying, let's get it to 1,000, let's get it to 1,500. And there's no exit strategy. So they sit there and they think we've made a lot of money, but they haven't. It's all on paper. And until they sell, they won't actually make any money. So what do I think is going to happen next? Well, I think there's going to be a lot of people who were behind on the bandwagon that are going to jump on. And when they jump on, they're going to try to make a purchase. And they're going to buy it at this 300, 400, wherever it ends up peaking out at. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to buy into it at that time. A lot of everyday people are going to take their retirement accounts and put into this stock. And without any kind of exit strategy or plan, it's going to go back down. And maybe some of these people who made $1 million are going to lose that $1 million and end up right back where they started. Or maybe some people who haven't been involved in it are going to put the money in, and then it's going to crash, and they're going to be the ones that get lost. So I am slightly worried about what's going to happen for the people who are in it right now, and then for the people who get in it over the next couple days. So would I recommend you do this if you didn't catch the beginning of this video? I think you may have that question. If you caught the beginning of the video, then I think you know my answer is no. I generally don't think it's a good idea for most investors. If you have a certain amount of money that you're willing to lose all of, you can play with it. But please remember, like I said earlier, this isn't an investment. This is a gamble. I'm not against taking gambles. I do think that if you have the money to lose, putting a little bit of money every year or two into something like that, where it's really a small investment, maybe like less than 1% of your portfolio, into something that you're hoping that doubles, triples, or even hits the home run and goes up 50 or 100 times. It's not a bad idea to throw some of those out there and try to swing for the fences. But the truth of the matter is, you should absolutely not build a portfolio around home run attempts. You should be building portfolios around things you want to own for 10 years or longer. And quite frankly, investing is boring. Investing is boring, but if you let the money sit there long enough, you're going to end up in the right spots. But gambling is fun, but if you do it long enough, you're going to lose. There's a reason the casinos in Vegas are the biggest buildings. They don't make money off of winners, so they can't have a lot of winners. And Wall Street's the same way. It's not going to make money off of, you're not going to make a lot of money off it. It's built in a way, I love what Warren Buffett says. Warren Buffett says that the stock market is the most efficient machine ever created, from taking money from impatient people and giving it to patient people. The best way to invest is to be patient, to let the market do what it does. Take your time, have some low-cost mutual funds and some ETFs, something along those lines. If you have a couple stocks that you like, fine, have a couple stocks that you like, let them run up for a long time, and 10 years from now, see where it's at. It's boring. It doesn't mean fun. No one is ever going to go in and stand by the water cooler on a Monday morning and say, hey, last year I got 8%, happy with it. Last year I got 10%, super happy with it. But at the end of the day, that's how wealth is built, is over those long, slow, methodical marches forward. I was actually watching a video today, and one of the questions was asked, would you rather have 10 years where you make 100% returns every year, so your money, every 10 years, your money doubles? Or would you rather have 100 years where over that 100-year period, you make 10% every year? And the interesting thing about it, it was almost 10 times more to have 100 years of 10% than to have 10 years of 100%. And it's so much easier. Like, the truth of the matter is, slow, boring investing creates generational wealth that you can pass on to your children. So that's where I think GameStop is going. That's why I think you probably should not be a part of it unless you have money you're totally willing to lose. That's why not one of my clients or myself have any GameStop. I did look at some options on them just to see, and the prices were through the roof, so people were doing that too. I don't think there's a lot of potential to make a lot of money on it anymore. I think the easy, fast money has been made. We'll see. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. It's also possible that in a week or two, it's $700, and I'm sitting here making another video saying, "Wow, I was really wrong." That being said, it's not an investment plan. It's a pure gamble. And going into this weekend, we're going into the Super Bowl. You might be just as lucky gambling on the Super Bowl. But I'm not saying go out gambling. That's your call. All right, you guys, have a good weekend. Hope you watch the video. Hope you learned something.